God, I got halfway through my script and I wasn't rolling. God dang it. Yes, it's true. In just the last 2 months, I've spent over $2,000 maintaining my 2019 Triumph Speed Twin 1200. This was not any kind of elective work like mods, nor was it unexpected repair work. This was routine maintenance, straight out of the service manual. And it all happened in just 2 visits to the shop. Let's break down everything I had done and how it all added up. No, come on. We don't need the intro for this one. Skip it. Skip it. Sometime in August 2024, my Speed Twin crossed the 20,000 mile mark. As my longtime viewers know, it's been a great bike during that time. We've had all kinds of awesome adventures together, which you can check out on my channel, and it's never let me down. The only problems I've ever had with it were a very slight oil leak around the 11,000 mile mark, and the stock battery, which just happened to die at a very inconvenient moment. Not really the bike's fault. Oh no. Anyway, now at this mileage, per the owner's handbook, it's time for the big one. The 20,000 mile service with valve adjustment. I do all my own oil changes and basic chain maintenance, and I did once adjust the valves on my old Suzuki TU250X, but this 20K job on my Triumph was best left to the pros. I took the bike into Motorcycles of Dulles, which is where I bought it. Yes, a dealership is generally the priciest place to have work done on a motorcycle. So why did I choose to have this expensive service done at an expensive shop? Why didn't I just do it myself? Well, I didn't do it myself because I can hardly spin a wrench to save my life. And it's not for lack of trying either. I can follow recipes, I can assemble IKEA furniture by myself, but for some reason, even when I'm following the directions in a shop manual, every motorcycle project I attempt turns into a huge mess. And these days, I don't have time for that. My Speed Twin is my primary mode of transportation. It's how I get to my office, it's how I get to videography gigs, it's how I go see loved ones. I can't afford to get halfway through a job, break something, and have to sit around and wait for replacement parts to show up. I am unable to tolerate downtime. Hell, I can barely even afford the time it takes me to get the bike to the shop. Lastly, the reason I went to Motorcycles of Dulles for this job instead of a less expensive independent shop is because I have the extended warranty on my Speed Twin. I think it was good for 7 years, which means I have over 2 years left on it. And any motorcycle I own that is under warranty is getting its major services done at a dealership. I want to be damn sure that if I ever need to make a warranty claim, nobody's going to look at my bike's service history and go, oh, you don't have all your stamps, you didn't get all your services done at the dealership, we're not gonna cover this claim or something like that. I do every mileage-based service on a warranted bike at the dealer for that reason. So far, Motorcycles of Dulles has done my 1,000 mile service, the 10,000 miler, and now the 20,000. So let's go over that 20,000 mile service. When I called, are they done? Oh, jeez, I gotta answer this. Okay, I gotta go, sorry. Hello, check 1, 2, all right, here we go. Guys, I can't even find time to record an entire video in one sitting. How do you think I'm gonna have time to do all my own maintenance on my motorcycle? Anyway, let's go over that 20,000 mile service. When I called Motorcycles of Dulles to make my appointment, I got the impression that this was the first Speed Twin they'd seen with this many miles on it. If you've hit 20,000 miles on your Speed Twin or other Triumph Modern Classic, leave a comment below. I'd love to find out just how many of us there are. I had to schedule the appointment about 4 weeks out, so the bike ended up going in with 20,585 miles on the odometer. After dropping the motorcycle off, I got a call later in the day to say that my valves did need adjusting and that the shims needed to bring them into spec weren't on hand but were being overnighted. I was also given 3 other maintenance recommendations, which, if approved, could be completed while they waited for the new shims to arrive. Here's what they recommended for me. 1, a brake fluid flush. Not surprising considering the motorcycle's age, mileage, usage, and the fact that, to my knowledge, it had never been flushed before. I once attempted to bleed the brakes on my Suzuki TU250X and got absolutely nowhere, so this was something I was happy to let the pros handle. Approved. Second, they recommended that I change the front brake pads. These were also original as far as I'm aware, and I'm pretty sure 20,000 miles is a typical lifespan. I knew this was coming and had been considering doing it myself, but presented with the opportunity to just knock it out, done by a professional, no risk of downtime, I took it. Approved. And third, they recommended I get new tires. Again, no surprise. They seemed more concerned with the front tire, but they said that the rear was close enough that I might as well change them both at once. Now, with the brake work I had just approved, the bill for this visit was already way higher than what I had budgeted for, so I declined to change the tires, determined to get at least one more month of commuting out of my Michelin Road 5s. The next day, the valve shims arrived, the work got finished, and I went and picked up the Speed Twin. Motorcycles of Dulles gave me this stamp in my service handbook.
Wow. A
spreadsheet detailing everything they checked, and this lovely bill. Here's the part where I say a lot of numbers. The 20,000-mile service, including valve inspection, is a 4.5-hour job. The hourly labor rate at Motorcycles of Dulles is $170. In those 4.5 hours of work, I got an oil and filter change, OBD2 scan, balanced throttle bodies, new spark plugs, and an inspection of just about everything, with adjustments where needed. That includes the valve job, which I have to imagine takes up the lion's share of those 4.5 hours. My Speed Twin has 8 valves, 2 exhaust and 2 intake per cylinder. All 4 of my exhaust valves were perfectly within spec, but all 4 of my intake valves were too tight. Fitting the new shims to bring them back into spec was 1 extra hour of labor. The parts cost for the whole standard 20,000-mile service, cam cover seals, spark plugs, oil, filter, and sealing washer, was $156.18. The brake fluid flush was 1 hour of labor and $6.13 for fluid. The front brake pads were 45 minutes of labor and $172.46 for the 2 sets of pads. So, grand total. Parts and labor for the 4.5-hour, 20,000-mile service was $921.18. If you take your Speed Twin to Motorcycles of Dulles for the 20,000-mile service and your valves don't need adjusting, that's what it's going to cost you. The parts and labor for my valve adjustment brings us up to $1,111.68. And finally, with the brake pads, brake fluid flush, and taxes, the grand total is $1,629.53. I'm not going to lie, that hurt. That was about how much I had budgeted for both the 20,000-mile service and new tires, and I spent it all on the 20,000-mile service and still needed tires. However, I have zero regrets because now I know that my Speed Twin, which I depend on for daily transportation, is going to be as safe and reliable as possible for the foreseeable future. Motorcycles of Dulles have a well-earned reputation for quality work, so I'm confident that these jobs were done right. I ended up riding on that set of Michelin Road 5s, one of which was plugged, as you may recall, for another 700 miles over the following month. That brought their total mileage up to an impressive 10,000, and they weren't even at the wear bars yet. I did have a road trip scheduled for late October, so they still needed to be changed before then. I called up Fairfax Cycles, who were able to schedule me for a tire change 1 week out. The price they quoted me for a pair of Michelin Road 6s, mounted and balanced, was the same price I got from Motorcycles of Dulles. But Fairfax Cycles is much closer to my home, and I have no problem trusting an independent shop with tires, so I went with them. I can't quite tell from this bill, but either their labor rate is $100 an hour, or they charge a flat $50 to mount and balance a tire. Add in the tires themselves, disposal fees, and taxes, and it came out to $650.14. Add that to the bill for my 20,000-mile service at Motorcycles of Dulles, and in the span of 5 weeks, I spent $2,279.67 maintaining my Speed Twin. You could accuse me of not keeping my Speed Twin clean. You could accuse me of cheaping out on some of my mods. But when it comes to the safety and reliability of any motorcycle I own, I do not play around. Yes, this has been a lot of money to spend on routine upkeep, but I need this motorcycle to be roadworthy at all times, and I'm willing to shell out for that. I don't have time to get stranded. I don't have time to botch this work by attempting it myself. And I don't have time to keep running back and forth to the shop if I wanted to spread out the expense over time. I had to do all this stuff, I had to have it done by the experts, and I had to get it all knocked out as quickly as possible. Today, I have complete confidence in my motorcycle and zero regrets about my maintenance expenditures. In case you're wondering, I didn't notice any difference in how the motorcycle rode or sounded after getting the 20,000 mile service and valve adjustment. Although I will say Motorcycles of Dulles got my clutch lever perfectly adjusted. I think I really just wasn't aware of how poorly adjusted I had it before going in. As for the Michelin Road 6s, apart from that lovely new tire feel, I haven't noticed any difference in performance over the Michelin Road 5s. Almost immediately after getting them installed, I left on a 1,500 mile road trip, mostly freeway, so they're already well on their way to being as squared off as my previous tires were. Keep an eye out for videos about that trip, which are coming soon. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching, ride safe, and I'll see you next time.